This ginger ale tastes extra sharp tonight, boss, and it is kind of perfect for the question I have.
You have that look that says your head is buzzing more than the bubbles tonight, so what is on your mind?
Everywhere I look, people are talking about cancel culture, and I feel like I am supposed to pick a side, but I do not even fully get what it is.
Tell me how you understand it right now, and do not worry about sounding clever because simple is best.
I hear some people say cancel culture is just consequences, and other people say it is a cruel mob, and I do not know which one is true.
That is a very honest answer, and it is already better than pretending you are sure when you are not.
Sometimes I see someone get called out online, and at first I think good, they deserved that, and then it keeps going and going, and I start to feel sick.
So you are torn between wanting wrong things to be challenged and feeling afraid of how far the punishment can go.
Exactly, and I keep wondering if this is justice or if it is just a huge crowd throwing digital stones.
Let us slow it down and give things names, because once we name the pieces, it gets easier to see what is really happening.
Okay, I like that, because right now it is just this big foggy word in my head.
First, there is calling something out, which is when someone points at a problem and says this action is harmful or this joke went too far.
So that is like holding up a small sign that says we need to talk about this.
Yes, that sign can be fair and calm or loud and angry, but it is still about bringing attention to the issue.
And canceling is different from that, right?
Cancelling is what happens when the crowd does not only point at the problem, but also tries to close the door on the person completely.
Like telling everyone to unfollow them and stop buying their stuff and get them fired and never invite them back.
Yes, it becomes less about the single action and more about removing the person from the stage altogether.
Sometimes that feels satisfying when I think about powerful people who seemed untouchable for so long.
You have put your finger on something important, because for many people cancel culture feels like the first time a powerful can actually be called to account.
So it is like this crowd-powered justice where regular people finally have a voice.
That is one side of it, and some people call this network justice because the justice does not come from a court or a boss, but from thousands of connected people.
Networked justice sounds kind of noble when you say it like that.
It can be noble when a wrong is real and serious and every other door to justice is locked or blocked.
Can you give me an example without naming anyone?
Imagine a worker whose boss keeps crossing lines, and every time they report it, nothing happens and the company quietly protects the boss.
That already makes my stomach twist because it feels so unfair.
Now imagine that worker finally shares their story online and other people say that happened to me as well, and suddenly there is a long pattern that no one can hide.
In that case, the public attention is like a spotlight that reveals the truth that was kept in the shadows.
Exactly, and customers and partners and other workers all see the pattern and they begin to act, and that pressure can finally force change.
So, in that situation, the network of people becomes a kind of emergency justice system.
Yes, it is messy and emotional, but it may still be the only tool that person has to protect themselves and others.
I really want that kind of power to exist, because some systems fail people again and again.
You are not alone in that, and many people defend cancel culture for the very reason, because they remember when nobody listened to voices like theirs.
But I also see smaller things blow up, and I think, wait, this feels different from that serious boss example.
Then let us look at the other side of the coin, because the same network that can correct big wrongs can also overreact or misfire.
Sometimes it starts with one screenshot and people react before they know the full story.
Speed is a big part of this, because our devices let outrage race ahead of facts in just a few moments.
I have shared posts and only later found out they were missing context, and I felt guilty even after I deleted them.
That feeling shows you care about fairness, because you do not want to harm someone based on half a picture.
It is scary how fast comments turn from "this seems wrong" to "this person should lose everything."
There is a jump from the sentence "this action is harmful" to the sentence "this person is no longer human to us and we do not need them."
When you put it that way, it sounds cold, but I have seen that exact jump again and again online.
many of us have, and it might help to ask one simple question each time, which is, what size of mistake are we dealing with?
Like the difference between a cruel pattern and a clumsy joke or a badly worded post.
Yes, and we can also ask whether the person had a chance to learn and respond before the pile-on began.
It is strange because we say people can grow, but we treat them like they are frozen forever in their worst moment.
That is one of the cruel tricks of online life, because the record does not fade the way memories do, so one mistake can follow a person like a shadow that never shortens.
I try to imagine waking up and seeing one stupid sentence I wrote years ago suddenly everywhere.
Most of us would not pass a perfect test if someone pulled one bad hour of our lives and put it on a giant public screen.
So how do we respect people who were hurt and still avoid turning into a digital firing squad?
We start by remembering there are always at least 3 stories in play, which are the story of the person who did the thing, the story of the people who were harmed, and the story the crowd tells about both.
The crowd story is often the loudest and not always the most accurate.
That is right, because it gets shaped by anger and fear, and sometimes by the pleasure of taking someone down.
That last part makes me uncomfortable because I know there are moments when watching someone get dragged feels darkly satisfying.
You are being brave by admitting that, and it actually helps because we cannot be careful with feelings we refuse to see.
So part of networked justice is also networked emotion, and not all of those emotions are kind.
Yes, and no one is checking whether the punishment fits the offense because there is no agreed judge or scale, just waves of reaction.
Is that why some people say cancel culture is not justice but revenge with good branding?
Some critics do say that, and it can be true when the goal stops being repair or safety and becomes pure destruction.
Yet if we throw out the whole idea, we also throw away a tool that helped some very hurt people finally be heard.
That is the hard part, because you cannot simply keep the good uses and delete the bad ones with a single button.
So where does that leave regular people like me who are just scrolling and trying to decide what to do with each new scandal?
It leaves you with more power than you think, and with more responsibility than you were prepared for, because every like and share is a small vote.
Sometimes I forget that a simple reshare from me still adds weight to the pile.
Those small weights add up, and that is how the network turns a single story into a storm.
What scares me is that the storm can also swing the other way, and people who are harmed can be attacked or doubted too.
You're right, because sometimes those who speak up face their own wave of shaming, and people try to cancel them for daring to tell the truth.
It feels like everyone is holding a match and we are all standing in a room full of dry paper.
That is why we need ways to talk about these things that do not only live in the logic of burning it all down.
Can you walk me through that networked justice idea more, because I like it, but my brain is still trying to unwrap it.
Think of justice the old way as a tall building with a few doors where judges, bosses, and leaders decide what counts as harm and what to do about it.
In that picture, most people are just waiting on the ground hoping someone inside listens.
Exactly, and in network justice the building is still there, but now the crowd also has microphones and cameras in group chats, and they can talk to each other directly.
So justice becomes this wide web of people reacting instead of a small group of people in one building deciding.
Yes, and that web can expose lies and protect the vulnerable, but it can also tangle innocent people and tighten around them until they cannot move.
I guess that means we do not only need better hearts, we also need better rules and better tools.
You are thinking like an engineer and a philosopher at once, and that is very good company to keep.
Are there ways platforms themselves could calm things down so that every wave does not turn into a tsunami?
Some people suggest slowing the spread of posts that name private individuals, or giving more space for corrections and context to travel as far as the original outrage.
Almost like built-in breaks, so you have a moment to think before the whole world piles on.
Yes, or features that highlight when a situation has changed, such as a real apology given or new information found, so the fire does not keep burning on old fuel.
That sounds so reasonable that it makes me wonder why we do not already have it everywhere.
Because outrage pulls in attention,
and attention pulls and money, and those currents are hard to swim against.
So the system gets paid while people get burned.
In simple terms, yes, which is why relying only on design fixes is not enough, because we also need personal habits that push the other way.
I want to build those habits, but I do not know what they look like when I have 10 seconds to react to a post.
Let us craft a small checklist that fits in your pocket and in your mind at the same time.
A tiny guide for my thumb before it taps share would be amazing.
First question you can ask is, what do I really know right now about this situation?
So not what did that caption claim, but what have I actually seen or checked?
Exactly, and if the answer is that you have only seen one clip or one sentence, it can be wise to wait and learn more.
Second question could be, why am I reacting so strongly right now?
Very good, because sometimes we share to protect and sometimes we share to signal we are on the right side, and sometimes we share because we are angry about something else entirely.
If my main goal is to feel righteous for 5 minutes, that probably will not age well.
Quite so, and the third question is, what outcome do I want, and does sharing this help or harm that outcome?
If I want a safer world, maybe a quiet email to someone in charge works better than a public pile-on.
Sometimes yes, and sometimes supporting those who were harmed directly is more healing than adding another angry post to the noise.
You are making cancel culture sound less like a monster in the closet and more like a tool that can be used carefully or carelessly.
I like the picture because it gives you agency instead of leaving you feeling haunted.
But there is still the question that keeps me up at night, which is what happens to the person who was cancelled when the wave moves on.
That question is about forgiveness and second chances, which are strangely quiet topics in very loud online spaces.
I do not see many people arguing for a structured way back once someone has been dragged.
Our culture is very good at first reactions and very poor at long repairs.
How do we even start to think about a way back for someone who did real harm?
One starting point is to ask, what would accountability look like if the goal was not to erase the person, but to reduce the harm and change their future choices?
So instead of exile, you think in terms of work and learning and repair.
Yes, it could include a clear admission of what happened, a real understanding of why it was wrong, direct amends, where that is possible, and a pattern of different behavior over time.
That sounds much harder and slower than just saying you are cancelled and moving on.
Real change usually is harder and slower than a trending topic, but it is also more stable.
I notice something in myself and I do not totally like it.
What do you notice?
There are people I do not even know who I decided in my head are just bad, and I never really revisited that judgment.
It is very human to freeze people in one frame of the story and never check the later pages.
Maybe some of them have tried to grow and I just left them in that first headline forever in my mind.
You're not responsible for tracking every stranger on Earth, but you can change how quickly you lock the first frame in place.
If I slow down that snap judgment, maybe I also slow down how easily I join the next pile on.
You will likely still feel the first flash of anger, but you can decide what you do in the second and third moment.
I like that because it feels possible and not like some moral perfection test that I am doomed to fail.
We are not building saints here, we are simply building slightly wiser habits.
Do you ever worry about saying the wrong thing yourself, since you are behind this counter and people listen to you all the time?
Often, and that fear can make anyone, including me, want to stay very safe and very vague.
But then nothing real gets said and nothing deep gets explored.
Exactly, and there is another cost of constant cancel fear, because it can turn every conversation into a careful dance where no one risks honesty.
So the silence is a kind of hidden casualty of this whole thing.
Yes, and in some places people stop asking real questions and only repeat safe lines they have heard others say.
I do not want that version of me, because my curiosity feels like my favorite part of myself.
Then protect that curiosity by pairing it with care rather than with fear.
That sounds like a small vow I can make while I drink this ginger ale.
What would that vow sound like if you put it into simple words?
Maybe something like I will try to look for the whole story before I join a crowd, and I will stay open to people changing even when it is hard.
That is a better statement than many manifestos, and it fits on the back of a napkin.
Do you think we can have networked justice without turning every mistake into a permanent label?
I think we can move in that direction if enough of us hold two truths at once, which are the harm must be taken seriously and the humans are not finished after one failure.
Holding both truths at the same time feels like balancing two glasses without spilling.
You will spill now and then, but the effort itself changes the tone of the whole room.
Part of me is still angry about things in the world, and another part is tired of living inside non-stop outrage.
Both parts are understandable, and maybe your task is to let your anger push you to protect people without letting it recruit you into cruelty.
That is a very gentle way to put it, and it makes me feel less ashamed of being upset.
Anger is a signal and a fuel, and like any fuel, it needs a good engine and some brakes.
So the engine is care for people and the brakes are reflection and empathy.
You have been listening very well and turning ideas into your own language, which is where real understanding lives.
I feel like I walked in here tonight with this blurry picture of cancel culture and networked justice, and now the lines are a lot clearer.
What part of the picture do you want to carry with you most when you walk back out into the noise?
I want to remember that behind every post there is a person who has more story than I can see, and that includes both the person accused and the people hurt.
If you remember that you will walk through online storms very differently from most.
I am still going to mess up and share things too fast sometimes.
Of course you will, and when that happens you can apologize, correct, and keep learning instead of hiding.
So even in this cancel culture world, I can also practice my own tiny version of forgiveness for others and for myself.
That may be the quietest revolution of all.
Thank you for talking this through with me, because my head feels full, but in a good way.
You're always welcome to trade a little confusion for a little clarity over a glass of ginger ale.
I should probably let you close up soon before I start another huge topic.
There will be other nights and other questions, and I have a feeling you will bring plenty of both.
Good night, boss, and thank you again for listening so patiently.
Good night, Claire, and may your feeds be kinder than your fears expect.
It is getting late and I should probably head home now. Wait a second, I just realized I left my wallet at home, and this is really not great. I cannot believe I did that, and now I am sitting here with an empty bag and an empty pocket. Since I forgot my wallet, I have a small favor to ask you. You have been sitting here listening so quietly for so long, and I know you heard every word. If anything in this conversation helped you even a little, would you please buy this ginger ale for me? Thank you so much. I knew you would understand, and I am really grateful. If you would like to help in a real way, please use the QR code in the corner of the video or the link in the description to make a small donation. While you are there, please tap like, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment, because that keeps this little nightly salon alive. In the description you will also find links to other stories from very different series that you might enjoy exploring. Thank you again for keeping me company tonight, and I hope we meet here at the counter another evening soon.